Welcome to this episode of the story. Subscribe as soon as possible. The Dusk of Atlantis, Chapter 12. The Rust-Colored Dawn, the Templars' Memory Treasury. On October 13, 1307, the morning mist in Paris carried a taste of rust. Jacques de Molay stroked the fragment of the Sibyllin books in his hand. The memory ashes on the parchment glimmered faintly in the morning light. This was the seventh fragment he had brought out from the underground library in Jerusalem, engraved with the deconstruction formula of the star chart in Atlantean script. "Master, the church's memory guards have surrounded the Temple Mount," said Adjutant Robert, his voice trembling. The raven totem shield in his hand was covered with cracks. "They claim that we are hoarding heretical memories and will burn all the books in our collection." Jacques stuffed the fragment into a hidden compartment in his armor. His fingertips touched the memory feathers of his wife in the interlayer. Feathers that had fallen when she was executed by the church 20 years ago. Each feather was sewn with the memory fragments of their unborn child. He remembered the scene in front of the memory star chart device last night. When the fragment approached the device, what seeped out from the cracks in the star chart was not light, but his wife's tears. "Open the memory treasury." He took off his helmet, revealing the star chart tattoo on the nape of his neck, the same totem as the pendant of the Queen of Atlantis. "Tell the brothers to transfer the books to the memory tunnel and activate the defense mechanism with the fragments of the Sibyllin books." In the underground library, the knights were carrying stone slabs engraved with memory symbols. Suddenly, the memory crystal lamps on the dome burst, and the church's memory scythes slashed down from above. Jacques raised his sword to block the attack and saw the gear emblems on the enemy's armors, the mark of the church's memory reapers, who were specifically tasked with executing those who knew the secrets of the star chart. "Jacques de Molay, you dare to hoard the forbidden memories of Atlantis," said the leading reaper, lifting her visor to reveal Leah de Montfort's pale face. Her memory, thread wings, glistened in the darkness. "Hand over the Sibyllin books, and the church may spare your body." Jacques suddenly remembered the deal in Acre 3 years ago. Leah had secretly met with him as a memory sanctus, exchanging the coordinates of the church's memory furnace for the protection of the Templars. The madness in her eyes at this moment made him understand that the woman who claimed to destroy the church had long been consumed by the memories of revenge. "You think you can bring your daughter back to life by getting the fragments?" He threw out a fake fragment with a memory trap, and his sword blade traced an Atlantean defensive matrix. "Those clones implanted in your womb by the church are nothing but energy batteries for the star chart." Leah's memory threads pierced the fake fragment, triggering the memory resonance set by Jacques. All the stone slabs in the entire library lit up simultaneously, and a holographic image of the sinking of Atlantis emerged on the walls. The knights saw the truth. The so-called sacred mission of the Templars was nothing but the church using them to search for memory fragments to repair the cracks in the star chart. "They've been rewriting our memories." Robert's shield fell to the ground. He watched as the Holy War Hero memory tattoo on his arm gradually faded, revealing the slave brand beneath it before it was tampered with. "We're not guardians. We're the church's memory hounds." Suddenly, the ground shook, and the church's memory furnace started up outside the city. Jacques knew that the machine, driven by the fear memories of children, was creating a memory plague that would soon plunge the citizens of Paris into collective madness. He touched the raven pendant on his chest, a communication token given to him by the leader of the Star Guardians, Raven Hawk, which contained the coordinates of the rebels written with memory ashes. "Take the fragment to London and find a man wearing a raven scarf." Jacques stuffed the real fragment of the Sibyllin books into Robert's hand. "Tell him that the loophole in the star chart lies in the memory cages of the Zodiac, and the consciousness fragments of Cassandra are the key." Leah's memory threads wrapped around Jacques' throat. The gear tattoo on her wrist resonated with his star chart totem. Jacques suddenly saw her memory. A baby was implanted in a memory incubator, and the church's gear symbol was reflected in its pupils. It was not her daughter, but clone No. 012. Her real child had been disassembled into memory energy at birth. "The daughter you saw in the star chart is just a memory placebo given to you by the church." He coughed up blood and grabbed her wrist. "Look at the real past." The memory ashes of the Sibyllin books fragment floated into Leah's eyes. She saw herself being implanted with false motherly love in the memory temple, and that her daughter's pure soul was actually pieced together from the memory fragments of countless children. When she realized that her years of revenge were nothing but a preset script of the church, the memory threads cracked for the first time. "No," she staggered backward, and the baby silhouettes at the ends of the threads began to disintegrate. I clearly remember her crying. That was the noise of the memory furnace. Jock took the opportunity to activate the self-destruct program of the library. The memory stone slabs began to collapse. We're all trapped in the church's memory loop. Only by destroying the star chart can we be free. Robert rushed into the memory tunnel with the fragment, and behind him came Jacques roar. Tell future generations that the church's lies will eventually be shattered by the rust-colored dawn. The moment the entrance to the tunnel closed, he saw the figure of the master entangled by memory threads, turning into a faint light in the star chart. 3 months later, in the shadows of the Tower of London, Ravenhawk unfurled the blood-stained raven flag. On the inner side of the flag, Jacques' last words were "with memory ashes." On October 13, 1307, the church burned 97 Templars in Paris, but they didn't know that every grain of ash is a new spark. Raven put the fragment of the Sibyllin books into the memory hearse. The movie ticket stub from 1999 in the carriage suddenly glowed faintly. He touched the stub, and among the countdown sounds to the millennium was mixed with Jacques' curse. When the church thinks it has mastered the past, the memory-awakened ones in the future will make their lies crumble like rusty iron. Aiden woke up in the memory graveyard. The blood-written word, Delta Omega G Omicron Nu, on her hand was hot. In the latest memory storage tank, the memory fragments of Jacques de Molay were condensing into the shape of a raven, and the tank number, 012, corresponded with the No 79 at the bottom of her pendant from afar. "Another thread is connected," Raven's voice came from behind. One more feather was missing from his scarf. The memory prison net of the Middle Ages is tightening, but the death of each rebel will leave a crack in the star chart that can never be sewn up. Aiden clenched the pendant. The moment the judgment mode was activated, Xi's soul traveled to the execution ground where Jacques was being executed. The church archbishop was reading out the charges, and Jacques' gaze suddenly met hers as he looked at the onlookers. There was no fear in those eyes. Only the reflected cracks in the star chart and the twinkling raven totem on the Tower of London in the distance. Leah stood beside the memory furnace, looking at the broken memory threads in her hand. She took out the memory capsule given to her by the church envoy from her cuff. Inside was no longer her daughter's smile, but Jacques' real memory before his death. "Your anger is justified, but the muzzle of revenge should be aimed at the core of the star chart, not an illusion." She threw the capsule into the furnace, and the star chart coordinates of Atlantis emerged in the blue memory fluid. When the church guards rushed over, she spread her memory thread wings. At the ends of the threads were no longer baby silhouettes, but burning raven totems. "Then let the star chart witness," her voice mixed with the roar of the furnace, "how big a crack the destruction of a mother can create on the star chart." This episode ends here. The next episode will be even more exciting. Come and subscribe.